Hello, I am Elizabeth Lawrence, the OBIS Training Officer, and today I will be talking about the current status of crustacean records currently published in the Ocean Biodiversity Information System, as well as some recent training developments that will support the crustacean community to contribute to OBIS. So we'll start with a brief introduction to OBIS. For more than 20 years now, OBIS has been building a central global platform that provides free access to the world's ocean biodiversity and biogeographic data. This database is rooted in a collaborative network of regional and thematic nodes, and the data in OBIS can be used to tackle marine challenges across the globe. OBIS accepts many types of data, including species occurrences, measurement data, sampling and processing methods, genetic and DNA data, historical data, tracking, habitat, and imaging and acoustic data, as well as metadata. The OBIS network promotes a culture of cooperation and aims to support training and capacity development to enable data contribution and collaboration. To date, there are over 11.5 million crustacean records available in OBIS, which corresponds to over 33,000 different species, 1.5 thousand unique datasets, and the data spans 273 years, published between 1750 and 2023. The map to the right shows the distribution of crustacean records in OBIS, and you can see that there are hotspots of records across the Atlantic as well as the Southern Ocean. Not included in this 11.5 million records are 118,000 records that have been dropped for a variety of reasons, and we'll return to these dropped records later. The top three most represented species in OBIS are the ocean shrimp, Pandalus jordani, the American lobster, and the side-striped shrimp. So each of these maps shows the record distribution for the respective species. And when we look at the number of records per species, we can see that the majority of crustacean species, in fact 99%, have less than 3,000 records. In fact, 15% of all crustacean data in OBIS are represented by those three top species. When we look at the number of records across depth bins, we have the depth bins on the x-axis here, and the y-axis is a log plus 1 scale for the number of records. You can see that 80% of all records occur above depths of 380 meters. That's what this vertical line is. And on the right, we have the cumulative number of records by depth. So again, we have this vertical line, which represents 80% of records. And so this really demonstrates that the majority of crustacean records in OBIS occur at depths above 380 meters, mostly shallow depths. Now, what about when we look at, instead of the number of records, the number of species by depth? There's a similar-ish pattern, but instead we see that 80% line at 3,680 meters, considerably deeper. So 80% of species occur above depths at this value. And when we look at the species occurrence accumulation curve to the right, we can see the same thing where species accumulations slow down considerably after this depth. So this could be an indication that most crustacean species occur at depths above 3,000 meters, or simply that there's a considerable amount of work still to identify and record species below these depths. So how do we access these millions of crustacean records in OBIS, or any marine data that might be of interest to you? Well, one way is to search from the OBIS homepage portal. You can search for taxa by typing in your species of interest, which will bring you to a summary page. You can then view this in the mapper by clicking the blue To Mapper button, and we can view this data, which gives us another summary of the years published, a list of all occurrences, a checklist for species, and a list of the data sets. To download this data, you can simply click the green button and then click download. However, be aware that downloading large files or files with a large number of records could take some time. Another way to obtain data from OBIS is with R, using the R-OBIS package and the occurrence function. So you can specify any scientific name here, but again, take caution because downloading all crustacean records can take a lot of time and even fail or crash your instance of R. So it might be better to download from the portal rather than downloading from R, or focus on a taxonomic level with fewer occurrences. So for example, here I'm obtaining all occurrence records for the genus Homeris. And then within this package, our OBIS, there's the function map_ggplot, which I have used to map all of these occurrences, which is shown in the map here. And you can see that some of these records appear to be on land. So they're probably either freshwater species or might have some error in the longitude-latitude coordinates that data providers provided. You would have to check the individual records in order to confirm. Now, speaking of checking records, OBIS conducts quality control checks on the data that it publishes. Of the crustacean records in OBIS, 6.3 million have some kind of quality control flag. So the top 3 most common flags include records that are missing depths, records that are on land, or records where the depth supplied exceeds the bathymetry layer that OBIS cross-references data points with. Now, some of these flags we recognize might occur in error due to, for example, the bathymetry layers are due to, for example, the bathymetry layers being a coarser resolution than the sampling data. And this is something OBIS is currently working to improve. Regardless, quality control flags can be very useful for interpreting the data on the user's end. And as I mentioned earlier, there's 118,000 records, which only corresponds to about 1% of total crustacean records. And these records have been dropped and are not published in OBIS. And this is largely due to either the taxa being identified as not marine, or there are missing or invalid coordinates. So we recognize that there are a number of challenges for publishing data to OBIS. And of course, the most common challenges are simply not knowing how to standardize data and then publish it to a repository. Because OBIS aims to support training, for the past year, we have been working to improve existing training resources. And these efforts have resulted in the following updates. By the end of this month, improvements will be reflected in the OBIS manual, which has been updated to focus on providing more step-by-step guidance for formatting, conducting quality control, and publishing to OBIS. We have also generated a complete Darwin Core term checklist, which will allow you to cross-reference your data with and help you identify which terms will go in which file. We have also developed about 20 YouTube tutorial videos, which will supplement the manual and cover data formatting topics like standardization, creating important identifiers, and using tools created by OBIS. Finally, there is a self-paced OBIS training course that will be hosted on the Ocean Teacher Global Academy platform. And this aims to provide you with the foundational knowledge to standardize and publish data to OBIS, as well as walking you through each step. We are always happy to receive feedback on how we can improve our existing resources. So if you have suggestions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can reach us at helpdesk@obis.org. We also have a Slack where we encourage community members to ask questions and generate discussion. So thank you for your time, and please stay tuned for more OBIS updates.